Hello everyone, I'm Anuradha Raman. Glad to meet you all at another exciting and interesting Sparks event by the Synapse QA community. I welcome Jorge, our speaker for today, and all attendees. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get into the today's session, just a quick brief about our Synapse QA background, so that for the benefit of the new members of the community. Synapse QA is a community-driven platform for testers. What started as a co-writing platform has grown into a wonderful community that helps mentors, guides, testers by redefining creativity. Our vision is to share, learn, and grow together. So, some important milestones of this 2021 would be like we have grown as a team of 30 plus people who work for the community, arranges, schedules events for the community, and do awesome work. Like we have been doing wonderful sessions like parallel testing series. We hosted global events, two global events, and there are like parallel learning series, meetup sessions, teller of tales, and of course, like we have partnered with other testing communities and hosted 5 global testing conferences this year. So uh, the most happening testing community events of this year is the Super Reads and Sparks. So we are now as part of the Sparks event, but I just wanted to mention about the Super Reads event that has been happening also. I'm sure like many of the attendees would have also submitted their blogs for the Super Reads contest. So a quick overview of what is Super Reads. It is like we believe that writing is a strong form of expression and to help and mentor budding writers, right? Like Super Reads would be the ideal contest or the platform where anyone can write about the testing, their testing experiences and probably their learnings and share it with us, submit it with the Synapse QA community, and you can get the mentorship from great reviewers, industry leaders, and grow as a blog writer. So it is probably, I would say, a global write-a-thon with a unique reading experience. So more than as a contest, right? Like it is a workshop where the contestant is going to constantly learn along this journey of almost like 1.5 months to 2 months, and get the constant review, and the learning experience is going to be amazing. Readers also will have the privilege to choose their top writers. So I think I cannot be more than excited to know who are all going to make it to the top, and we are going to release the top 12 contestants, right? Like out of the submissions, we received almost like 46 submissions this year. So we are going to release the top 12 this Sunday early morning. So all the very best for the results, I would say. So coming to today's session, I welcome Jorge here for this wonderful topic on engineering OKRs for agile testing. So a quick intro about our speaker. Jorge is an agilist and has performed multiple roles like DevOps Program Manager, Test Manager, Agile Coach spanning more than 12 years. He helps teams design, build, and implement digital DevOps and Agile transformation strategies. He encourages organizations to focus on people, productivity, continuous improvement, and innovation. He has passion for test automation, Agile, DevOps, and business agility. He has been a speaker in Agile. You would have seen him. I have checked his LinkedIn profile. Like he has contributed to the community. Like, wonderfully. It's all lovely to watch. Please check out his profile when you have your Slack time. So he has passion for test automation, Agile, DevOps, and business agility. He has been a speaker in Agile and DevOps events organized in many countries like Peru, Canada, UK, and US. It's my pleasure to host you today, Jorge. Please join me in welcoming Jorge. Over to you, Jorge.
Okay. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you very much, all the people here. Thank you very much for your time, for being here, for being part of the event. It's for me an honor. I'm really happy to be here with you and share knowledge and learn from you. So I'm going to share my screen right now. I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to share my screen. So hope it works very well. I think so. So I'm going to share my screen. I think, can you see my screen right now, please?
Not yet. Yeah, it's loading, Jorge.
Okay.
Yes, yes, we are
It's
able to
okay
see
now?
it now. Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, I think you already introduced myself, so I'm not going to add too much to that. So, guys, people, basically today our conversation, our talk is going to the name of the talk is engineering. Engineering OKR for agile testing. Walk the talk, right? And I don't know if you are familiar with this quote, "Walk the talk," but it's a British quote, which the main of this quote is, if you are going to talk about something, you need to practice that, right? So it's not about talk about a topic, but you need to also practice in your daily work or in your day to day, right? So that is the main idea of this talk, right? What I'm going to share with you, actually, they are real experiences working with agile teams, with development teams, and so forth. Okay, so I hope you can enjoy the talk. I hope you can find some useful assets or useful experiences, lesson learned uh, from my journeys, that can help you in your journeys, right? To build new ways of working, like agile testing or continuous testing and so forth. So that is the main purpose of this talk. Yeah, so that's it. So, but well, I think that you have my you already have my profile, but anyway, I would like to present myself. My name is Jorge Castro. I am from Lima, Peru. I work as a DevOps Program Manager and QA Manager and Test Manager and Agile Coach currently. Here you can see my contact information, so that would be awesome, guys. That would be really nice, ladies, guys, if you can, if you can add me to your LinkedIn account, and we can keep in touch after this session, right? I strongly believe that we need to create and we need to improve our sharing knowledge community, so, over the world. So please add me to your LinkedIn. That would be great if we can, if that we can talk about this topic about OKR for your testing, or maybe for another testing or agile DevOps topic. That would be great. Okay. So thank you. Okay, in this paper, in this conversation, we are sharing our experiences to define a strategy for agile testing, ways of working adoption at enterprise level, team of teams, and team levels through OKRs. So yeah, I was checking the participants option, in this session, and I noticed that some of you are work as QA leads, test leads, right? And as you know, right, when you want to change or you want to adapt new ways of working, like agile testing or continuous testing, when you want to move from manual testing or functional testing to a kind of more technical testing, it's difficult in different ways, right? In different so many ways. So the idea of this conversation, I'm going to share with you a strategy that you can use if you want to organize your the way that you want to adopt these new practices, right? You through your OKRs, right? So, so that's the idea, right? It's something that we did. It worked. It worked very well for us in terms of helping us to align our goals to the company strategy and our agile testing strategy as well. So, okay, I would like to start with this quote from Lisa Crispin. Well, I think that you know who is Lisa Crispin because we are testers, right? We like we feel passionate about testing, right? But Lisa Crispin, as you know, is one of the gurus of testing over the world. She wrote a couple of books like Agile Testing Condensed, and so forth. So this quote is amazing for me. She said, "People, not methodologies or tools, make projects successful," and I totally agree with her. Right. And basically, that is one important topic that I want to share with you. Right. If you are in the way to transform your testing ways of working, please consider that the critical topic, the critical factor that you have in this journey, in this goal, is your people, right? Your tester, your developers, and so forth. At the end, no matter if you have a lot of money or budget, and you have tools, you have open source, or you pay for your tools or whatever, right? Or if you have a process in place and so forth. The most important part is your people. So it's quite important that you focus on your people and how you can engage them in terms of your journey, right, of transformation. So please remember that is quite important. Okay, let's start with the story, right? Once upon a time in a common enterprise. So I'm going to share with you this story, which is our story, my story. I think I suppose that you are going to find some similarities with your actual work, with your actual jobs, maybe. So okay, so this is David. David, he works at an enterprise. Since he has an agile and testing experiences, his boss asked him to take care of some tiny problems, right? Tiny problems that they are facing in their testing process. So David said, "Well, how bad can that be, right? Tiny problems. Okay, I have experience in agile and testing, so I think I can handle it, right?" But what about those tiny problems, right? Actually, those tiny problems, there weren't tiny problems. Problems like, okay, continuous team disintegration, silos between testers, between product owners, between developers, between business, and so forth. Silos everywhere. Lack of testing strategy. We want to do agile testing, right? We want to do it, but what is the strategy, right? What are the goals? What are the ways of working? What are the KPIs? What is the process that we need to change? What about the interaction between developers and tester, right? So there are a lot of questions about that, right? In this case, a tiny problem for David was lack of testing strategy. Okay. Manual task, yeah, they had a lot of manual tasks for regression, for unit testing, for component testing, and so forth, right? A lot of manual tasks for in everywhere for UAT and so forth. So as you know, if you have a lot of manual activities, most probably you're going to have a lot of bugs. So bugs everywhere, bugs in development, bugs in QA, bugs in production, and so forth. A lot of bugs everywhere. Continuous retesting, which is a new practice in DevOps. Continuous retesting, you put in production. Sorry, yeah, you working a software, writing a piece of code. You test it. You get bugs. You test again. You get bugs. You test again, and you get bugs, and so forth. Right? It's a continuous retesting stuff. And also a new practice for DevOps, continuous rollback. Right? You put it in production, right, and rollback, and put it in production and rollback, and so forth. So you can see, those are the tiny problems that David has to deal with, and he has a mission to do something, right, to try to organize this, to try to uh, improve the situation, right? Okay. Another quote, as part of this story, right? Again, it's quite important as well. This quote is from, sorry, the name is incorrect. It's Simon Sinek. Sorry about that. Simon said, "People don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it, right?" And that is quite important, right? So imagine that if I am developer, or I am a agile tester, or test automation engineer, or whatever, I am working a team, and suddenly my boss or a company says, we need to do agile testing, right? But what is the why we need to do it, right? I feel comfortable with my actual work, right, doing my actual stuff. why I need to change, why I need to try these new ways of working, right? So that is an important part. And in our case, at the beginning I said that focus on people, right? Because they are the real change agents for your business. And now saying this quote that people is going to buy the why of your initiative. OKRs are very useful tools that we can use if we want to get that support, right, from people, from the why, and so forth. Okay, so David decides to build agile testing ways of working to sort out those problems, those tiny problems, which weren't so tiny, right? After he assesses the maturity of the practices and get the as is, the current situation of the stack, of the practices, of the maturity of the testing in the teams, in a team of teams. His second movement looks for defined clear goals, right, that foster team alignment, collaboration, and so forth. The strategy, right? So let's start with the why. I think that is quite important. My recommendation is that if you have this challenge, right, one important topic is first, you need to assess your current situation, right, in terms of, again, the stack that you have, the process you have, the maturity you have, and so forth. I think that it's quite important. And second is, okay, now you have the current situation. You need to define some goals, right? The strategy. What are the outcomes that you are going to pursue with this approach, right? With agile testing adoption, right? Continuous testing ways of working, agile testing ways of working. So that is quite important, and that is part of the why, right? Start with why, So that is the approach. That is the first approach that I can recommend you. Sorry, I need to work this. Okay. So right now, I'm going to share with you a funny video, right? I don't know if you can listen the sound of this video, but anyway, the video are short. I'm going to try to explain. So I'm going to play the video, right? Please, can you tell me if you can listen the audio, please? Okay, I'm going to play the video.
Sure, Jorge.
Okay. Can you listen?
Yes, I can.
Remember?
Yes or not?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so great. So I'm going to run again a video. 1 second. Okay. So just to explain a little bit, this video is about it's a funny video about how not to set objectives, right? Because in the same way that in Agile we have anti-patterns, in testing we have anti-patterns, right? In I think in everything we have anti-patterns. We also have anti-patterns in how to set up objective. So please check attention to this video. It's very funny. It's about how not to set objective, right? So enjoy the video. It's very short and funny.
Objective setting. Remember that good old process? God-given process developed by HR, which of course we always find so motivating, exciting, liberating, and exhilarating. Just talking through the procedure once more. I couldn't find the form, so I'll write it on here. We fill the form in 5 boxes. Remember, copy to you, copy to me, HR, finance, the board, the cleaner, and the guy on security. Right? It will go in my bottom drawer. Where it will remain quietly for the next 12 months, and then we'll blow the dust off again. And in a year's time, ask ourselves how to do it. The aim is to get as many ticks on those boxes as we can, so that you look good, I look good, both get promoted, earn lots of money, die happy, go to heaven. Okay? Yeah. Between you and me, let's get this out of the way, otherwise known as a complete waste of time.
Okay, I hope you can listen the video very well, but if not, the video is very funny because it's about a conversation between a boss and maybe his team member, right? They were discussing about setting the classic, career development goals, right? To measure your performance, your performance, your career development, right? Your contribution to the goals of the company and so forth, right? So it's very funny because the boss said, okay, let's do it, but it's about stuff that we need to do. I don't care about it. I'm going to write your goals. I'm going to put it in my desk, and they are going to stay for 1 year, right? So that is not a good way to design goals, right? At the end, guys, uh, as part of agile testing strategy or continuous testing strategy or whatever new adoption of ways of working that you want to achieve, the goals are quite important, because this is going to be my my vision, right? What I need to do to reach that objective, that outcome for the company, for my client, for the customers, and so forth. So that is the real idea to define goals, right? Objectives. So it was a funny video. I hope you enjoy it. Okay. Okay. Another important topic as part of the strategy, right, that I want to share with you is the outcome-based planning business mindset, right? And I think that is quite important, right? If you, for example, right, if we want to, in the David case, right, he wants to sort out those problems. So as part of that, he said, okay, we are going to build these agile testing ways of working, right, in the company, to sort out those problems. And something that is quite important for that is that whatever thing that you're going to plan, right, your initiative, your experiments, your adoption of new tools, and so forth, it's quite important that you think in the outcome, right? So that you make your planning business, you make your plans you make your plans based on outcomes, right? Which is a business mindset, actually. So as part of that, you also need to focus on and take care of, make people uh, to foster and to adopt this outcome-based planning mindset, business mindset. Is quite important, right? In terms of efficiency, right? Because at the end, you can do a lot of things, right? For example, right, in terms of agile testing, you can say, hey, I'm going to take this training for Selenium, for Java, for Chocolate, for Jenkins, training for TDD, BDD, a lot of trainings, right? But the question is, those trainings are going to help you to your goals, what is the outcome of those trainings? Is just taking the training, right? Or what is the outcome? You are going to decrease the bugs, you are going to increase customer satisfaction, you are going to help to decrease the lead time of your development process. Those are the kind of questions that we need to ask, and those questions came from this kind of business mindset, right? Outcome-based planning. So just an example, right? In this slide, you can see that in this part, in the left, we have metrics or numbers, that data, KPI, numbers, indicators from US COVID vaccine progress, right? You have a lot of vaccines, a lot of people who get the vaccines, people vaccinated, and a lot of stuff, right? But if you ask, okay, that is great, right? Because get the vaccines is something good, right, for a country, right? But what is the real outcome of that? Is people get the vaccine, or is health? Is people health, or is decrease the number of deaths? Is decrease the number of people with get these illnesses, right? This virus. I think that is the outcome, right? At the end, the vaccines, the different campaigns that you can do against COVID and so forth are okay, right? Of course, they are important, but those are activities, right, that you need to do, right? At the end, the most important part, the real outcome, is decrease number of deaths, right? People health. So that is those concepts that we need to keep in mind, and they are part they are part of OKRs, right? So yeah, that is an example of what we understood at that moment, and why we decided to apply OKRs for agile testing. Okay, as you know, as real life, we start with the first experiment. Sorry, I'm going to wait. My bad. Okay, I have something. Okay, so as part of our first experiment, our first try, we being traditional and damp, to be honest. What we did, we did a lot of training, right? Yeah, to be honest. Our first approach was, okay, we need to train the people, we need to schedule the trainings, we need to get a mentor, a coach, we need to do some exercises, and we thought that it was enough. So we thought that after the training, people will come back to their works, and we suppose that they will started to put in practice what they learn, right? In terms of TD, agile testing, BD, and so forth. But we failed, to be honest. We failed. It was not so simple. I think that was the first experiment, and that didn't work for us. But in the second one was agile way, right? And basically, in this agile way, we apply OKRs, as I said, because well, OKRs is a kind of is part of agile mindset, right? This approach to focus on value, focus on customer, focus on the outcome, and OKRs are a really nice tool for that, right? To design your goals in terms of the outcomes and get alignment and engagement from your entire company, right? In this case, our case was, okay, we need to improve these problems that we have, right? The tiny problems through agile testing initiative, right? The adoption in the company. So the second experiment that we did was this, right? Agile well. So basically, we apply this approach each time that you have a goal. That is also a recommendation. Each time that you have a goal, no matter if you are a developer or a product owner or a project manager or whatever, each time that you have a goal, in our case, again, right, our goal was to sort out those problems, right, the lack of bugs, manual testing, and so forth, through agile testing. But that was our case. But of course, you can use OKRs for any time, each time that you have a goal, right? No matter if it's a DevOps goal, a development goal, whatever. Okay, so I suppose that some of you have some knowledge about OKRs, but anyway, I'm going to explain that a little bit. OKRs are objective key results. It's a way to define your objective, basically, and also define your key results, right? Key results are those numbers, or those metrics that you can use, right? That can help you to say that you are close to reach your goal or not, right? So OKRs help you to define a clear goal, focus on outcomes, define your key results, right? To measure how close you are from your goals, and also help you to align and engage your company, right? The main approach of OKRs is, okay, we define OKRs for the company, and then the rest of the units or the rest of the teams in the company can align their goals to help and support to reach the OKRs for the company, the objective for the company. So that is OKRs. It's very useful. It's easy to understand, but of course, as any other practice, is difficult to put in practice, right? As any other practice. So in OKRs, we have this concept, which is engineering OKRs. And actually, engineering OKRs is basically how you apply OKRs for a kind of IT situation, right? In our case, continuous testing, agile testing, is impact business, of course, right? But, it's a kind of activity that demands a lot of technical skills, right? Besides the mindset and the cultural thing, demands a lot of technical skills. So that is why we call them engineering OKRs. But at the end, is the same idea, right? Is to set goals, right? Focus on outcomes, define the key results that are going to help you to measure how close you are from your goals, and share those goals to your team so they can align all what they are all activities that they are going to do during the cycle, right? To support and to help to reach those goals, right? That's the idea, right? So that is the approach. Okay, so agile testing, right? Something that also we discussed about it is we need to have a clear vision about what is agile testing in our case. So we take this approach from Lisa Crispin and Janet Gregory. As you know, agile testing is a collaborative testing practices that occurs continuously from inception to delivery and beyond, supporting frequent delivery of value for our customer, right? Testing activities focus on building quality into the product, quality building, using fast feedback loops to validate our understanding of the product and the process. The practices strengthen the support idea of whole team responsibility for quality. Yes. Well, that was our approach for agile testing. Basically, a collaborative work between developers and testers to focus on the outcome, to focus on the customer experience, to focus on get feedback soon, right? To try to support the idea that testing is not responsibility for a tester, is the responsibility of the team, right? Product owners, scrum master, developer, data analytics engineers, and so forth. We want to build quality as part of our DNA of our development process, right? That was our concept of agile testing. Continuous testing also is important that you understand what the difference, right, between they are pretty similar, right? But there are also some differences. Continuous testing, right? Basically, continuous testing is an integral part of software development. It's part of software development and fits at each and delivery single point of DevOps cycle, right? As you can see here, this is a classic DevOps cycle, right? And actually, and that is true, right? You test everywhere, right? You test in the plan stage, you test in the branch stage, in the code stage, in the merge. You test everywhere, right? You test in the production deployment, you test after production, in the operate, in the monitoring, and so forth. And this cycle never ends, right? You test a lot. So all this testing that you do as part of your DevOps implementation or DevOps cycles is continuous testing. Of course, here you can have a lot of automated tests, and of course, maybe in a less number, you're going to have also some manual tests, right? But I think that the main approach is automated testing, right? In different levels, unit testing, integration, security, and so forth. But that's the idea of continuous testing. Okay, so as part of the approach, asking the right questions and focusing on the real problems, right? Engineering OKRs can also point outcome value out, right? And that was the idea, team. At the beginning, we had this idea that, okay, if we want to do this agile testing, continuous testing approach, we need to set some goals. That's okay. We can use OKRs, great. We had, at the beginning, we had OKRs like this, right? Our goal, our objective was automate this module, right? Or automate this process, or automate these regression scenarios, and so forth, right? Our key results, our indicators were, okay, that some numbers of automated tests, some numbers of tests written, right, and coded, and so forth. But I think we need to ask the right question, right? As I said, OKRs focus on the outcome, right? Focus on fix or sort out real business needs, real customer needs, right? So it's not about using OKRs because they are cool, or because they are cool, or they are they are fashion, they are fashion way nowadays. No, it's about using OKR because they are going to help us to focus on business, right? And real outcomes for the company, real outcomes for our customers. Okay, that is quite important. The same for engineering OKRs, right? Despite of engineering OKRs, are OKRs more related to IT stuff? It doesn't care, right? At the end, you need to pursue an outcome. That is quite important. Okay, some benefits that we get using OKR alignment, right? This helps us to align our teams in terms of specific goals, specific results. Also, it's about OKRs help us to foster this data-driven mindset, right? Which is quite important, right? So we are going to plan, we are going to decide our next steps, we are going to define our experiments and so forth in terms of data, in terms of the data that we are going to get from our OKRs, for example, right? how closer we are to reach the goal. What are our numbers, right? That is quite important. And OKR OKRs helps to get that approach. Actually, that is quite important because something that we noticed in the first experiment was that our decisions were taken using the feedback from our bosses instead of focusing on data, instead of focusing on real outcomes that we are getting with the agile testing adoption, right? So that is also OKRs help you to get that. And finally, it's about experimentation, right? At the end, when you design your OKR, okay, this is our goal, this is our key results. It's a kind of assumption, right? That you do, right? You are not, of course, you need to do. Of course, if you are going to design an OKR, you need to think about it. You need to work with your team about it. You need to be clear about what the company is looking for and so forth, right? And at the end, it's a kind of assumption, right? It's a kind of experimentation that you are going to do maybe in the quarter, right? And depending of the result, you're going to say, hey, this works, or maybe we need to change the strategy, right? We need to change the key results, maybe the goal was not good enough, and so forth. So OKRs also help you to experiment in a short times, ways to measure your outcomes and your initiative, right? Okay, and I think another goal from OKRs is outcome-based planning. It's quite important. I know this is difficult because I am a developer and a test automation engineer, but it's quite important that you need to stop to thinking in the output, in only the tool or only the process itself, or only in the coverage in the percentage of coverage or percentage of issues and so forth. It's quite important that we need to focus on the customer value in the outcome, right? And we need to planning based in outcomes, right? That is part of OKR's benefits. Okay, so I hope you can trust me. That is part of this strategy that we want to recommend you. But now I think that is an important topic that I want to share with you is outcome OKRs versus output OKRs, right? The most important part is the OKRs focusing outcomes, right? But maybe in some cases, actually that is anti-pattern, but it can be an approach that you can do also in some specific scenarios, that your OKRs are outputs instead of outcomes, right? And for example, imagine that you want to do agile testing, right? And you don't have a framework for functional automated tests, right? You don't have it. You don't have nothing, right? So most probably in that scenario, you need to start maybe with the basics, right? Maybe with some specific training, with some specific experimentation with Selenium and so forth, with Java and so forth, right? So at the beginning, if you define your OKR for that initial stage, most probably, right, you're going to get some outputs instead of outcomes, right? So maybe after some iterations, you can get the outcome that you're looking for, right? Customer satisfaction, reduce the lead time, and so forth. But maybe at the beginning, you're going to get outputs. That is the approach, right? We did it. Yes, we did it at the beginning. We had some specific cases where we had some output OKRs, but we tried that they were the less, that is what we tried. But it's part of, the real work, real life. Okay, I'm going to share with you this short video. It's very funny. It's very funny, so I'm going to share with you. It's about a funny situation about testing, right?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Thanks.
What can I get you?
Bread? You have bread?
Yeah, we do. Would you like one? There you go.
Thanks.
Anything else? What, you don't want it?
Do you have 9,000 breads?
No, we have one. No.
Can I order it?
Of course not. It's a local food store.
Okay. Do you have hermit crabs or mini donkeys?
What's that? No, we don't. No, it's a local grocery store.
No hermit crabs?
No, we don't. No.
And do you have...
What? No, mate. Just get up. Mate,
Semicolon.
get lost. Mate,
Semicolon.
get the
Semicolon.
get the Just-
easy horse.
get lost.
Okay. Well, the video was funny. It's a situation that of course the man with the black T-shirt is a tester, but it's a funny situation. Okay, another quote from John Doerr, which is a guru about OKRs, is: "We must realize that if we try to focus on everything, we focus on nothing." So it's quite important that we need to focus on specific goals, right? Not in everything, because agile testing is huge, right? You have processes, you have mindset, you have culture, you have testing level, you have DevOps, a lot of things, right? So we need to use the OKRs to focus on the main important goals at the beginning, at least. Okay. So some examples, right, about this implementation. I'm going to share with you some examples about these OKRs for agile testing. Okay, the first one, as I said, I recommend you to design an assessment, right? This is an example of a self-assessment that we run with our teams. So the different teams in a company, they run this assessment. It was made in Miro. So we had some roadmap, right? Some maturity levels of agile testing, which are here, and each team, that's depending of their level, right, of maturity levels in terms of practices, culture, and so forth. They put they identify a specific maturity level of continuous testing, right? So they say, I am a beginner, I am in this stage, in this 3 stage, or so forth, right? So that is my recommendation. You need to create your self-assessment for your company. You need to write the self-assessment, and so that in that way you are going to get real nice information about what is the current status or assess of your maturity of agile testing in your companies. Okay, this is an example. If you like to have more information about it, you can reach me out and I can share with you ideas about it. Okay, but this is part of the strategy that we did. Okay, second one is agile testing quadrants. I think that is quite important as well. If you want to design your strategy, this is a good tool that you can use, because this is the how, right? This is what is the testing that you need to take care of in terms of your product, in terms of your processes, in terms of your customer, right? So this is a technique, very, very, very well-known technique, where you can have these quadrants. You are going to consider your business facing, your critical products, your technology facing, you're supporting the team approach, and in terms of that, we're going to have those quadrants, and you need to define what is the testing that you're going to take care of, right, in your products. Functional testing, automation, security, automated testing, some manual testing, and so forth. So this technique was quite useful for us in terms of defining our strategy and our goals. So I recommend you to use it. Also important topic, we define this, as I said, we define this maturity roadmap, which is those stages that for us was our main approach, to the maturity of our teams. We start with our testing level, which is the basic level. Then we move to the stable automation, right? Then we move to the agile testing cycles, basically daily cycles of daily execution of our test. Then we move to the continuous testing with business paths, the business critical paths. And then we move to the system scope paths as part of continuous testing. And then we have the continuous testing on Nirvana, or the maximum level of maturity in our case, right? Of course, each level has some description, has some practices that you need to define, right? But that is my recommendation. If you want to define a roadmap for your agile testing and you're going to work with teams, you need to define this adoption roadmap, right? To help the team to see what is the vision that you're looking for in terms of your agile testing approach, continuous testing approach. So here's some examples, okay, of OKRs. This is the OKR number 1. The goal was improve our customer experience using our products. This is an outcome, right? And for this OKR, for this objective, we had 2 key results, right? The first one was reduce the number of high bugs in production, And the second one was reduce the time to resolve a high bug in production, right? This is something that you can use, actually. As you said, this is outcomes. We have 2 key results. OKR number 2, improve the QA, the quality assurance prevention process in our software delivery lifecycle, right? Improve this QA prevention stuff to avoid issues in the UAT, for example. That was the goal. The key results were 3. Number 1, increase the unit test coverage. In this case, it was important for us, this coverage. Number 2, reduce the number of user stories, understanding gaps, reduce the number of gaps, right? Using example mapping, for example, right? Using BDD, for example. Number 3, increase the integration testing coverage, right? I'm going to finish right now because I am running off time. Objective number 3, streamline the new feature testing cycle, which is basically is lead time, right? Or time to market, streamline that new features testing cycle to reduce, right? To try to make efficient this testing cycle for new features. 3 key results as well. Number 1, decrease the regression testing time for new features with testing automation, for example, Number 2, decrease the full regression testing time for the system, right? One was the regression for one feature and the other was for the entire system, for, automating, for example, the business critical paths. And number 3, reduce the regression test automation maintenance time, right? Maintenance time through getting information from the main progress that we get in our test automation reports, right? For the maintenance. Finally, another example of our OKRs, it was streamline the QA process, right? The entire QA process. So that was the goal. And the number 1, the key result number 1 was decrease the cost of manual testing for regression testing with automated testing, of course. 2, reduce the average cost caused by bugs fixing UAT. Bugs in UAT are very expensive. So we need to reduce the number of this average. So number 3, reduce the average time to generate data. Reduce the average time to generate test data in our scenario, right? To help the lead time as well. So finally, those objective key results are going to generate a lot of initiatives. So I recommend you to use this approach to evaluate the effort that you're going to use, the cost that you need to do, the value you're going to get, and the risk of doing that, to decide what are the best initiatives that you need to run in your team to reach the goal, right? BDD, example mapping, unit testing, depending of your strategy, and use this approach to define that. So guys, to sum up, in my experience, it was very important for us to use OKRs to define our strategy, to define our goals, our key results, to build this agile testing ways of working, continuous testing working. Of course, we also create our roadmap, create our assessment, and also our agile ways of working, right? But I think that is the main approach. I strongly recommend you to use this approach if you want to define your strategy. Okay, some books that I recommend you. You can read it. I'm going to share with you this material as well, so you are going to get this information. Those very nice book about continuous testing, the testing in DevOps, and so forth. So references that you can get. I'm going to share with you as well. Please, finally, remember that we all have dreams. So help and share more, right? That is quite important. Sharing is caring. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that. That's an insightful session, Jorge. I am sure our attendees would have had a very good knowledge on OKRs right now, and they should have got a basic idea about how to align and balance between their project OKRs and their individual OKRs. So can we go for a quick Q&A session?
Sure, absolutely.
So I'm sure you will be able to see the questions, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
How detailed should we imagine the outcome for our planning purpose? Can it be high level or just an auto? Well, it depends of where you are, right? It depends on where you are. In the example that I show with you, right? As you can see here, the OKRs, the outcomes were very specific, right? Because most of them were OKRs at team level, right? Team level, agile team level, and also team level, right? A kind of trip or tribe, if we talk about Spotify model, right? So I think if you are working in a trip or a team, I think your outcome needs to be very clear and specific, right? We need to decrease that. We need to improve the customer satisfaction, but very specific objective with your key results. But maybe if you are in a kind of strategic position, right? If you are a CEO, CTO of the company, in that case, your outcomes can be more general, maybe more general, more, but at the end, the people, in the team of team level need, but we need to work in specific things, right? To support the big goals of the company. So yeah, I recommend you to try to be specific with your outcomes in your team level and team of team level.
Thank you. I guess you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, how to align balance individuals OKR with the team projects OKR? That's a good question. Okay. Okay. Individual OKRs, if we are talking about individual OKRs as part of the company strategy, so the company decide to have individual OKRs as part of career development or as part of team evaluation and something like that. My recommendation is that is most probably not a good approach, right? The good practice says that we need to have OKRs for the strategic level, right? For the company level, for the enterprise level. We need to have OKR for the team of team level, right? For a value stream or something like that. And we need to have OKR for the teams level. Basically 3 levels, right? The recommendation is that don't to have OKRs at team member level. That is the recommendation that I can share with you. But if you have it, right, my recommendation is that individual OKRs is maybe for my own career development, right? Imagine that, for example, I need to learn about Java, right? I need to learn about some specific Selenium topics or some specific communication skills, right? Or some coaching skills for me, for Jorge Castro, right? So I think that would be a kind of valid approach for individual OKRs, right? But my recommendation is don't combine, right? Don't combine your individual OKRs, if you have it, to your teams OKRs or projects OKRs, right? My recommendation is that OKRs is looking for team collaboration, right? If you have some specific OKRs, maybe you are going to create a kind of not collaborative environment, So yeah, that's my recommendation. Please don't combine personal OKRs with team OKRs or team of team OKRs. If you have OKRs, if you have personal OKRs in your company, my recommendation are that personal OKRs need to focus on some specific things that I need to have as part of my career development, right? Communication skills, maybe some technical skills, some project management skills, some managerial skills, whatever, right? That is my recommendation.
Thank you. Final
Could
question.
you please share a few tips to stay focused on OKRs while not missing the bigger picture? That's a good approach. Well, actually, what I recommend is, okay, your product owners, or maybe maybe, for example, right, in our case, when you use OKRs for our agile testing adoption, the OKRs owners, the owners of them, or the people that support the OKR for agile testing were our architects, right? The architecture center of excellence were the guys that support these OKRs, right? And also the technical leads, right? So in our case, I remember that time to time we had some meetings with them, right? Because they had the strategic OKRs, right? They say, hey, guys, we have these OKRs, which is lead time to market, quality for the company, right? This is what the company is looking for as part of the digital transformation and so forth, right? So we had those sync ups with them time to time, where we can, review what is the status of OKRs in our company, when we want to, where we had a chance to present our OKRs at team level or team of team level, so we can combine, right? We can align to, we were doing things, in the team level, in a team of team level, but at the same time we were aligned, right, with the big picture, with these strategic OKRs in terms of lead time, quality, and so forth. So my recommendation is that you need to set up some meetings, set up some sync up moments, with your teams and your strategy to work together on that.
Thanks for those lovely answers, Jorge. I'm sure we all are, pretty clarified about the individual OKRs and your team of teams, and of course your companies or the project OKRs. Thanks for the wonderful session. So I just want to quickly share my screen and thank our sponsors for the event. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this Sparks is a unique event. The webinar anthology series is, it's a new adventure tried by the Synapse QA community this year. So, I think it's a huge success, and people are enjoying it to the core. So I would like to thank our sponsors. Apply Tools, AxleQ, Lambda Test, Test Sigma, Nuke Test, and Test Project. So please do, stand by with us for the live demonstration of Apply Tools. Thank you again, once again, Jorge, for your insightful session. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Synapse QA community for arranging and scheduling these kind of insightful sessions with the industry leaders. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep safe. Bye-bye.